Hello, hello, Claudia. Nice to see you again.
You
Oh,
too. Great. We're back.
we're back. We're back to discuss chapter 5 from our book, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. So, just to give a little introduction to the audience, my name is Grace, and I'm one of the authors of this book. And Claudia is a psychotherapist. She co authored this book with me, and we're doing a series of podcasts right now discussing chapters from our book. And today we will be discussing chapter 5, the symptoms of narcissistic abuse.
Mhm.
Claudia, this chapter starts with me describing and defining what domestic violence is. And before we touch base on the symptoms of narcissistic abuse, I just wanted to clarify the definition of domestic violence because this was enlightening for me. So, ironically enough, I spent 8 years of my life working in the courts of justice in Malta, where I'm from, working in cases of domestic violence. But for some reason, it never occurred to me that I was also a victim of domestic abuse. Why is this? Because I used to associate domestic abuse with physical violence. And when we experience different types of abuse, we may not realize that this is also a criminal act, which shows how serious it is. So, the definition of domestic abuse is any physical, psychological, or sexual abuse of a member of one's family or household, especially a spouse or partner. So, I just wanted to clarify that any kind of abuse and manipulation, even if physical abuse is not involved, this is also something to be taken seriously. And so when I was in the relationship, I had normalized the dynamics and his behaviors. And it's really difficult. And abuse can be so subtle, even financial abuse, financial control, that you may not notice it until you become aware of it. So this is what we are doing here through this book. And now we can discuss the first symptom of narcissistic abuse, which is walking on eggshells.
Can I add to what just your intro for just a second, Grace? Yes.
Please do.
So one of the things that in the first of all, this was one of the hardest chapters, even as I was rereading it for this podcast, Grace. And I just want to keep honoring you for sharing so much. It was really hard for me to actually even reread it. It feels painful to me. And like it was for folks who are going to read the book, it's absolutely amazing. It's so life-giving, actually. But Grace is so generous with how she shares her story. And I want to I want to honor you the whole way, my sister. I want to honor you the whole way because it was really hard for me to even revisit this chapter and to see everything that was done. So let's just start with that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that.
Really, really. I think I'm going to say it the whole time. Number two, the fact that you worked, this is one of the things that I said in the book, that the fact that you worked in domestic abuse for 8 years. And when I'm working with clients, I do notice where they work and why. And especially when it comes to abuse or even sometimes in the jail system, it's like there's something happening, whether that's an alchemizing of the wound, whether that's a repetition of the wound, whether it's an attempt to heal the wound, all of this unconscious. So it
Mhm.
wouldn't surprise me, right? When we're trying to save children, like there's something inside of us that is like a calling towards this place. So it's very interesting that you found yourself there. And I talked about the law of attraction because we are psycho-spiritual, that whether it's conscious or unconscious, law of attraction will find us and will pull us.
Yes, that was so
So
interesting when I read that. Yes.
interesting, so interesting, right? That this whole time there was a parallel life playing this out. the other thing I want to say that's really, really, really important very quickly is that people, I just need to scream it from the top of the hills. Energetics matter. We are all energy. This is psychic abuse. And because for so long, we haven't believed that the invisible, that energetics in a home exist, that silent treatments have nothing to do with physical abuse. And yet it is so abusive and invisible. So I can't emphasize enough that psychological abuse and energetic abuse is real. It's happening constantly. When a group excommunicates or gives a silent treatment to another, there's nothing physical going on, is there? It's the energetics of that type of abuse. So I really want to take an opportunity to emphasize how important energetics and psychic communication is alive and well in a home. And you experienced all of it.
Mhm.
All.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
I want us to start with that when you're talking about what domestic abuse is.
Yes, yes, and thank you for emphasizing on that because it's true and it goes so deep, this type of energetic abuse, that I would dare say, of course it depends what type of physical abuse we are talking about, but to me it feels like the energetic abuse took longer to recover from.
Yes. It programs extremely deeply. It's a deep, deep programming. And
Yes.
sometimes because we're actually unconscious to it, we think that if we get away just from the physical abuse, but we see it in people who leave cults or leave, all sorts of situations, how long it takes to actually deprogram.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, totally. So so
Let's
now we
start.
get into the first, yes, symptom of narcissistic abuse, which is very much related to what you just described. In fact, walking on eggshells.
Mhm.
So, what happens? Why do we do this? And what does it mean, walking on eggshells? This can be hard to notice, but once you become aware of it, you'll start realizing that you're living your life literally tiptoeing around these people to make sure that they don't get upset. And whether it's yourself making yourself small, whether it's abandoning your needs and feelings, shutting down, not communicating your boundaries, trying to bend over and backwards to make sure that their needs are always met. And even if you want to do something for yourself or something differently from the usual routine or from their expectations, you can anticipate that they are going to be upset. Therefore, your nervous system will get triggered, and of course you want to avoid pain, conflict, and suffering. If you're an empath, you want to keep harmony, and this way you end up going through your life feeling scared almost all of the time.
Yes. Yes, it's really painful to talk about in this way. Like that's an exact example. Walking on eggshells, right? And this is where the other person, you, the sensitive, just the other human, the normal other human. Imagine what this does to children. It is energetic fear. The house is full, full of fear because on the one hand, it's predictable. They're going to go off the handle. They're going to have moods because moods is also a thing that happens. Let's be really clear about the impact of moods. Okay. But it also feels unpredictable that you might move the remote control and that's the thing. Or you talk a lot about cooking or about something you might say that's going to cause something. And in the book, we talked about, or I talked about sort of the walking dead, meaning this is the place where you want to become more and more and more invisible. This is the true loss of the self for the other person. You literally just want to become invisible, glazed over. This is when the mother or the wife doesn't even protect the children anymore because it's just intolerable to constantly be on this edge of what might happen, which feels unpredictable, but it's actually incredibly predictable because you know it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yes, it's paradoxical. It's like it's unpredictable because you never know what's gonna make them get pissed off. But at the same time, you know that it's guaranteed. You can sometimes they can blame you for breathing in the wrong way. You know what I mean? It's like you
Literally,
can expect
literally.
anything.
Why are you breathing like that? And one of the things when I'm working with people, I keep teaching them to reverse that. It's predictable. It's actually very predictable. Let's just
Hmm.
know that that's how it's going to play out, like over and over. It is
Hmm.
predictable. Because part of the fear and the heightened hypervigilance is feeling like when is it going to happen? When you start thinking like, oh no, it's going to happen. It's not ideal, but it does calm it just a little bit.
That's true, actually. I can see, yes, how that makes a lot of sense because then you can feel like, yeah, you're not hyper vigilant because you expect it to happen, and there's a sense of acceptance that this is going to happen. And that sense of acceptance helps you to maybe rest down a bit your guard and your nervous system.
Yes.
And I can't even imagine, like, I had to deal with a partner who was like this, but having a parent, for example, and you're kind of stuck in the same home living with someone, and you can't leave the house because you're young, for example, or as a child, how exhausting and how detrimental it is for someone's health to be living like this.
Yes, it's really quite painful. And that's how it starts is with a parent like this.
Mhm. Mhm. The second symptom that we mentioned is loss of self-worth. And I start by talking about how we learn through neural pathways and repetition. And the same way that we learn supportive beliefs or neutral beliefs about ourselves or about life in general, the same way we learn and we become brainwashed by hearing negative beliefs or belittling comments repeatedly. So even if you enter a relationship with a solid self-esteem and self-worth, they will eat it out and they will erode it slowly. And this can be obvious and it can be not. It can be something like a small comment, like to not make it so obvious, pointing out that, oh, you look a bit funny from this angle, or in this photo, look at this, how it looks, this, and it's like just taking you down slowly, slowly, for example.
Could you remember other examples? I like asking you about concrete examples so that people can connect it to their own lives. It's really helpful. Your examples, everyone, just get the book. You'll see how many examples she gives. She's quite detailed, but even here,
Yes.
that's
So
a
my
very good one. It's like looking at a picture and saying, huh, I hadn't
yes.
noticed.
Yes, my examples were quite severe. So sometimes I worry that people may not relate because I know that my cases were quite cinematic. But I can mention, for example, cooking for during the relationship for him. He would always make drama if I picked up the wrong ingredient or if I tried to be a bit intuitive with my cooking and I throw in an ingredient that is not in the recipe. And this is something that it's now a thing, actually, intuitive cooking. That you buy the ingredients and you cook intuitively, you know. So, but one of the examples was when I, and now looking back, it sounds ridiculous that someone could make such a drama out of nothing. That I made a caprese salad and I chose the wrong olive oil, not according to his requirements. And he goes into this massive tantrum, but like bizarre, like out of this, it was so out of proportion, his reaction, where we go into this fight for hours, hearing how useless I was, and because I cannot do anything right. And then he would start going through my skills. Oh, you're emotionally intelligent. How is that going to be useful in your life? How are you going to use emotional intelligence? Huh, you have good communication skills. What do you think you're gonna do? You're useless. Look at you. You can't do anything right. You know, so these types of comments. And then hearing them day in, day out, well, I wasn't aware of what was happening. Then I start questioning myself. Oh my god, it's true, but he did want that type of olive oil. I did make a mistake. And now I say, so fucking what, dude? Just suck it
Yeah.
up and cook it yourself next time.
Chill.
Yeah.
Chill.
Like, chill, man. It's just olive oil.
Yes,
So
yes. I'm glad you can laugh about it. You can see the ridiculousness of it. So I was just as you were talking, I just had a different examples. One is I remember a, a friend, someone who's a friend who was married to someone who kept talking about how beautiful the women were in his office in front of us. And not like, oh my gosh, it was constant. Someone new joined, and he would say things like, es super guapa. Like, she's like, and with those faces, like, really attractive. And
mm,
she's saying, and the wife would just, because of course it's such you could feel the casual demeaning of the wife
yes.
of what if she said something, why are you, I'm just saying she's attractive, right? That's like a subtle but not so subtle energetic form. In parents it might be constantly talking about one of the other kids. So
Yeah.
amazing. And this is the divide and conquer strategy, which they do with other people. Um, Sort of this highlighting how amazing someone else is, but not in a way that feels like healthy. It actually is an attempt to demean the person that's next to you. That's an example.
Yes.
Try and think of some more, but this and the idea is at the beginning you will not see the cinematic. They
No, exactly.
they test. And Grace, in the book, you said something about the teasing and the nicknames.
Yes.
The teasing, and then it's like, well, I'm just joking. You're like
Yes.
so sensitive. If you're like, why did you?
Yes,
That's
that was always his defense, in fact. No, this is how you joke with your friends. This is how you know that you have a close relationship, because you can joke in a mean way to your friends. And then you start questioning, oh, is this a thing? Like, I don't joke like this with my friends, but maybe some people do, and you start questioning these things. And even if it's real, I wouldn't want to be friends with someone like this if they joke this way. It's
true.
okay, no thank you, not my cup of tea.
In fact, you
uh,
want to notice it. That's one of the little red flags that you want to notice early on.
exactly.
Absolutely. It's one of the symptoms early.
And one of the other subtle symptoms is that sometimes the belittling comments may come after a compliment, so you find yourself feeling confused. They compliment you, but then they belittle you, and so they're still taking away from your achievement, the thing that you just shared with them that you're joyful about, whatever it is. a milestone in your life, they will chip away at your self-worth slowly, slowly. Before we move on to the next one, do you have something else to that you would like to add?
Well, I just thought of an example. I had two people who took my one of my classes once, and one of them is an active narcissist. And he kept saying, he kept saying, "Oh, I really am enjoying." Here's a compliment. "I'm enjoying taking your class. The other day we were laughing so hard at how much you push your glasses back. We were dying laughing." So that was a, I really like your class. I'm not saying anything about the class. Can you feel that? So
Mm-hmm.
the sensation is you're over there talking about me. We were both dying laughing at the way
Mm-hmm.
that you, and it was slight. It was slight. But that's a really good example when you said that about the compliment.
Yes.
We kept laughing at how often you do. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I guess I do that a lot. Oh my gosh, it looks hilarious. Oh my gosh, people are over in that corner laughing about me. Instead of me feeling empowered as a teacher or addressed as a teacher, because there was no comment on the class itself. Uh,
Yes.
so can
And
you
you
feel
can,
all those energetics? But if you're in it, you think, oh, I guess that's funny. I guess they're spending that time talking and laughing about me, at me. And he kept saying, it's not at you, it's just really funny to watch you. So,
you could pick up on the intention, no? And I feel like these people, they do these things because they feel threatened. So now I learn to take these things as compliments, because otherwise, why are you trying to make me feel less inferior? You know, something, I triggered something in you. So thank you. I will take this as a compliment. And it is true. So you might have probably triggered something in this person. And instead of paying attention, absorbing your insights in the lecture, I guess he showed what an idiot he was by laughing in a lecture at something that is not really funny. So, right?
yeah.
So, very good example.
And for the audience,
Um,
Grace is laughing now, but this is years of work,
of
years
course.
and years and years of finally being on the other side and being able to see what
Oh,
was
yeah.
happening at the time. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, at the time I was, yes, like 10 kilos less than I am now. I was unrecognizable almost. So, but when you do the work, you can make it to the other side of the tunnel. So the next symptom is always feeling like you've done something wrong. And this is something that haunted me throughout the entire relationship, because you feel like you're always, as you said, you're always walking on eggshells, and no matter how hard you try, they make you try harder next time, try a bit harder to please me. And anything that you do doesn't ever feel good enough. And whether it can be so exhausting, Claudia, it can be so exhausting, because you want to show the other person that you love them, whether it's a parent, a sibling, a partner. You want to prove your love, but it is never enough. No matter how much you give of yourself, no matter how much you abandon yourself, it's just never going to be enough, because they have this void inside of them. They're trying to fill through you energetically, and it's just not going to fill their void. And it can be so exhausting. And instead of taking care of your life, taking care of your children and your family, you are just all the time thinking, how can I make things right? And I've experienced this, and I've talked with other people who were in these types of relationship, and it was always the same. But if I could just get it right next time, it would be different. No, you gotta lose hope. You gotta understand and realize it's never going to be enough. And that is when you can start moving on slowly. Lose hope.
And it's unreachable. This is sort of part of the treatment strategy, is to say, and this is what the book does, audience, please, this is what the book is saying. There's a blueprint. So it feels, because that's the addictive cycle, right? The addictive cycle is that you feel like you'll ring the bell at some point. The bell would ring because at the beginning, they were ringing your bell all the time. You're beautiful. That's amazing. You're gorgeous. Look at what you do. I love the way you da 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 da, right? So if you know addictions, that's your first high. And you keep chasing that high. But what happens is the relationship erodes. So these are some of the nuances or the tweaks to this. It is a sadistic need to, and part of their supply, it's sadistic supply to always feel above. Remember that the narcissist only has two relational dynamics. I'm either superior or inferior. So they're constantly fighting for the superior posture. And in order to have that, especially with powerful women like you or just normal humans, it's almost ridiculous to do this to children. Ridiculous. But this is done with children, to always have the superior posture. And so it's actually a sadistic need on their part. It's the only way to get satisfying supply-ish, because they're never satisfied with. So that's this loop. They're never satisfied. It's a leaking hole all the time in their soul. There's always a leaking hole. And therefore, you're never enough. Like, it's never going to happen. So in the treatment strategy, if you can start just getting it through your head, oh, wait a minute, this is predictable. Wait a minute, it'll never be enough. And empaths and highly sensitives and normal, open-hearted human beings, let me just say something. This will confound you for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yes.
will, you will stay, because you almost can't believe that this is
Yes.
how it stays, right? That the cruelty, it's just so hard to believe, right, Grace? Like, that's why it takes so long, because to say something like to an empath, there's no hope. Stop right there. Stop believing. To say that to a highly sensitive, an open-hearted human, a child even,
Yes. Yes.
this is how it's going to be. It's really hard. It takes a long time to get there.
Oh, yes. And I had a full army backing me, telling me to lose hope, to see this person for who he really was. Nobody wanted to continue speaking with him. He was not welcome in my family. I just didn't want to listen. And I just didn't want to lose hope until I was ready to do so. It just didn't happen. So I completely empathize and I understand anyone who stays stuck in these dynamics. There's no shame in judgment because I've been through it. So it's extremely difficult, especially because they keep luring you back into the relationship and seducing you. We've mentioned this in the beginning with love bombing and the cycles that they go through. Recently, I went through our conversations because I needed to check some things for our book presentation, and the conversations going through them, it feels crazier now looking back and reading through them, because you would see massive amounts of hate and venomous words, and then the next day it's just like nothing ever happened. And also crazy from my side as well, because how dare you speak to me like this, and then the next day I'm speaking to you like nothing ever happened. Like, this is absurd. So
And
from
the
both ways.
nuance there, yes, is from your part, the victim, the empath, the highly sensitive, the open, normal hearted human, the need for relief. And for children, this is where it's most painful for me. Children always want to make their parents happy. They need it for survival.
Yes.
So they'll try and like, okay, if our parents are happy, there's a need for relief. There's a need for like, can we just be normal and happy today? It's desperate. Okay, so that's part of maybe your response is like, oh my gosh, okay, we're gonna sort of pretend like, and now a lot of households live off of this pretending like nothing ever happened. For the narcissist, that's what's normal. It's actually normal.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know, like a protein drink. They demean, they get filled up, they feel delicious with their sadistic supply. Then they're like good to go. They've got
Mm-hmm.
some fuel they're running on
Yes.
until the
Yes.
next put down, right? Until the next need to get refilled. Um, yeah, this is and for anyone who's watching, we hold you and please, there's trigger warnings and trauma informedness all around because this is real, and it's real not just between a couple. Um, yes, Grace, I was thinking about something you said right now, but please go on, like with these symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one is quite a heavy symptom, quite a powerful one, and it's dissociation as a coping mechanism. And as I was reading through the chapters, I remembered I had forgotten about this because it's been a while now. But I remembered that for quite a while after the relationship, I felt me, an empath, a person who feels a lot, her emotions. I was numb. I was emotionally numb. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel joy. I couldn't feel sadness. I was just like this. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was like, oh my God, what's happening to me? I cannot, I don't feel anything, nothing. It was so new to me. And then I realized while I was reading, researching, and studying all of this, that this is what's happening to me. And it goes even further that some people even dissociate so much that they cannot even recall certain episodes and traumatic experiences from the relationships because it's so traumatic that your brain just puts it in the archive in the unconscious and you dissociate completely, and you might find yourself thinking, oh no, it wasn't that bad actually, the relationship, because you've stored away those memories. It can be so dangerous.
So let's sort of psychoeducate and psychospiritually educate, because that's the sort of distinguishing feature of our book, is that we write it in a psychospiritual form, right? That it's not just psychological, that spirituality is always playing here. So I like to say that our psychology and our psyche as human beings is actually quite divine. It's quite perfect because when we're children or when we're going through severe abuse, or maybe when we're tortured or prisoners, right? The human being, it's an actual survival mechanism to be able to, what I call, leave the body. You literally leave the body, and that's dissociation, because you must, because in certain experiences, the psyche cannot bear it or tolerate it. Neither can the body in certain situations. Okay. And sometimes, and this, if you do it consistently, these become mental health issues, psychological issues. This becomes a personality disorders, et cetera, if you're not aware of this dissociative state. And so in the book, I call it like, if it's become severe, which is what you're describing. So what it meant was your body was just trying to keep you safe by completely, I call it the glazing over, the Walking Dead syndrome. If you decide to stay, it's almost like it's required.
Yes. The
Required.
only way to
And
survive.
you glaze over. And sometimes when I'm working with clients in session, I can actually see it. I can actually like gently bring them back, or I can say, just so, because sometimes people do it when they're at a party or when they're on a date, or if they hear yelling, you can see this instinct to leave the body, to actually leave the body and dissociate. It's a survival mechanism, but if it stays stuck as a survival mechanism, again, there's the complete loss of the self. You become a zombie. You zombie out. I like to use sort of like everyday words. Um, but we want to also honor it, especially for children who are getting abused or under narcissistic systems, um, that the body and our soul and our higher consciousness helps us. And what you're describing, Grace, as leaving it in the unconscious, this is why so many people don't remember child sexual abuse. Like we block it. It's too hard for that little psyche to bear, or for an empath or for a sensitive like you. It's too hard to tolerate. And so it is just carefully put over here. And if that's done for too long, that's when you begin to compartmentalize. That's when you begin to have dissociative identity disorder, right? It becomes something else because it's a lack of integration, right? That's
Yeah.
dissociative disorder becomes something much more severe.
Yes, exactly. And I think a lot of people don't realize that just because it's cut off in the unconscious doesn't mean that it's not there. It's still in your system. You just gotta need to find a way by working with a professional like Claudia to help you process these and integrate these hurt parts within you. Otherwise, they can cause issues and they might not be so obvious even. They can show up as illnesses in the body, as sickness, and you would not realize why or where it's coming from. Or numbing yourself even further by substance abuse, which is something that I was doing as well.
Exactly. Can you talk about that? I wrote here numb and numbing because you did talk about waking up and smoking weed immediately, going to sleep, certainly drinking, because that is a parallel process. Whether you start eating and gaining weight, and I talked about that too in the book. That sometimes for those of you, one of the ways that some folks become invisible is by gaining extreme weight.
Yes, how
Please don't
paradoxical.
look at me. Please don't. Right. Don't get close to me. Don't. Right. I'm invisible. Do not touch me. Do not get close to me. It is paradoxical, but it's an
Yes.
attempt to not be seen.
Yes, my God, that's so true. I never saw it this way. It's true. It makes a lot of sense. You asked me something, but I
Numbing,
was
numbing, numb,
numbing.
like becoming numb and numbing. Yes.
Yes. So I was not dealing with my traumas immediately, and I started smoking cannabis heavily during the relationship, and I used it to numb myself because it was so painful. Sometimes even waking up, that I would have like palpitations immediately. I would open my eyes and my heart would just start racing as if I was like running a marathon. And the only way that I could function was to be zoned out like a zombie by smoking. Now, I'm not advising against cannabis, but I'm talking about severe abuse of cannabis and misuse of it, and the way that I was using it was clearly because it was too painful to be present with what I was experiencing. And these kinds of substances, any kind of substance, makes you dissociate and numb and not feel something that you don't want to feel. Even smoking cigarettes, I used to notice that it's a kind of self harm. It's like you're harming yourself, you're harming your body, but I would rather do this than feel whatever I avoiding. Does that make sense? And how I'm explaining it? Am I clear?
Absolutely, absolutely. You have that awareness. And I think using the word intolerable is not dramatic. It literally is too hard to tolerate. And you begin, right? I always say all sickness or all psychological issues, including all the isms, alcoholism, workaholism,
Mhm.
sexualism, all of that, is just you start to just get, if people can visualize this, I work a lot in visuals because it helps us. You just start getting more and more and more separated from the self. If folks can just picture that, if you begin to self-hate, you become this. If you, because of someone hating you, you just begin to move further and further away from the self. And all addictions just keep moving you further. And then you hate yourself for what you did yesterday, for what you ate last night, for all the porn you consumed. And so, do you see, you just begin to, again, it's another way of zombieing out, of becoming separate from the self. And so all the healing is this coming back, which we talk about later. But go ahead, Grace. Did
Yeah.
that tickle your brain?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next one is having a sense of mistrust. And this was a big one for me as well. Sense of mistrust. Because these people gaslight you so much, you start questioning what is real. And I remember that I think we talked about this a few times where I had to track evidence. You know, we mentioned that you need to track the evidence of what's being discussed, what's happening, because they would deny so much what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and they project and they deflect on you that your sense of trust and your inner compass and your intuition starts to lose its strength. And also, it is very hurtful to understand and accept the fact that someone who you seem to be so totally in love with, both of you, or a parent that's supposed to care for you and protect you, is actually causing you harm, is actually lying to you, is betraying you. And it can be so difficult to wrap your head around it. It's like, what? How is this possible? If this person who's supposed to have my best interest at heart betrayed me, how am I supposed to trust anyone else? And my sense of judgment of other people and all of these symptoms that I'm mentioning, it took me so much time to work through them, but it is so worth it. It is worth doing the work because otherwise your life is always going to be gray, and there's a whole spectrum of rainbow and colors to experience there.
Yes. Yes. I think we both know it in our own skins and we see it. And I see it in people all the time. And it's worth this work. Oh, we're near, but can I just say a few things? So in this chapter, you talked about calling this narcissistic abuse syndrome. And um, for the audience, this doesn't just happen in families, it happens in religious institutions, in cults, in governments. This happens. So, one of the reasons why this book is so important right now is because it carries over into a modus operandi in humanity. Okay, so we're taking two people, Grace and this person, and we want to translate it. Grace, and the other thing I want to talk about, and maybe we can bring it up later, were the earth angels. Everyone, people will notice.
Yes. Oh,
And some
yes.
people will gossip about you and criticize you. We're not talking about that. And that's actually what makes us turn our ears off. But there are people, you have an example in the book. I have an example of a cousin also who who's very gently and lovingly says, something's up. Some something's going on. You're not the same person. And even
Yes.
if in the moment it feels so like, oh, this is horrible, there are earth angels who, with love, with kindness, with full heart, say this. Um, and one more thing about what you said about eroding, Grace. When your trust is completely eroded on purpose, self-trust, and actually what gets eroded even more is your decision-making ability.
God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
So you are completely limp, not only limp in life when it comes to decisions, you are so easily manipulated. Because when you lose your agency, your ability to trust yourself, because when we trust ourselves, we can decide. Okay. Even if it's going to be we fail forward, for example, we can decide. Um, then it means that, and this is done on purpose, that any authority, any power, any lover, any parent can decide for you. And that's actually the ultimate agenda. And that goes for all entities.
Yes, and we need to talk about this on the collective at large because, as you said, about agency and sovereignty and narcissistic abuse, this is how it works, taking away your agency, control, manipulation, feeding of your energy. So I think we need to dedicate a whole chapter on this.
Yes, yes, for
And
sure.
I know we need to conclude this episode for today. Right? Do we have a few minutes left?
Yes, we do. We do. We have, yes. Keep going.
Yes?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So the last thing I wanted to mention, yes, is the complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. And finally, I was wondering whether we have 5 minutes to include, if you're up for it, one of the dynamic meditations that you like to do to maybe guide the audience. You can do it on me, and we can do it together and guide the audience to this. I know we have this dynamic meditation method,
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
and I think it would be beautiful to offer
Uh,
it.
as
Yes.
as a way of ending.
Yes, and
Okay.
because we talked about these symptoms, and I think it would be so nice to have like a grounding practice. And I know that you are brilliant at the psychospiritual work.
Yes, yes.
So
Thank
I leave
you.
that up to
Thank you. I
you.
appreciate that. So for everyone, I created an amalgam in the early, sort of around 2009. I took all the tools that I'd ever learned, and that comes from traditional spiritual um, practices, but also psychological and clinical practices. And I put it all together and I called it the dynamic meditation method. And I use it with clients all the time, and it turbocharges our work together. But really, what I did it for was to use it with anyone who wanted to learn about it, even if they weren't in therapy at all, because this is portable, practical, especially for people with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, general anxiety disorder, ADHD, anyone who thinks there's no way I'm doing meditation, or any of these practices, don't worry. So we're going to do, so I have a whole bunch, and if, we can practice them as much as we want. But why don't we just go with the now feeling right now? And the idea here is we're going to get very gentle. And I always encourage folks to like touch their body because it's a way of signaling embodiment. And it's so gentle and kind to the self. And you can touch your belly or touch your chest. And for some people, I like to ask them to touch their face because there's so much sweetness and kindness to the self. So always bring it back to the body. And I'm going to ask everyone to lean back, especially empaths and sensitives. We're always leaning forward, which facilitates leaving our body. Lean back. And Grace, I want you to experience this. Really lean back into your back body. We're going to do 3 breaths where you're breathing it all the way into your hips. Breathing in. And as you exhale, longer exhale, you're going to push it into your hips. For empaths and sensitives, you might not even realize you have a lower body. Breathe in. Now you're going to go past the hips into your thighs. Always leaning back. Breathe in. And now you're just going to push it all the way back, feeling that lower body nice and heavy. And now you're in your body throne. You're not moving forward and dissociating. You're nice and heavy. And we're just going to start super gently with going inside. And everyone, you could do this for 1 minute, even if you're ADHD. It's an active meditation. We're just going to ask, what's my now feeling? And right now we're activating the observer. And even if you say, my now feeling is numb, I don't feel anything, that's fine. Just notice that. Let's do that again. What's my now feeling? We're going to do that again. What's my now feeling? Scared, disorganized, distracted, restless, happy. It's okay. Just give it a word. Numb. Doesn't matter. Resistant. Let's do that 2 more times. What's my now feeling? Notice as we do this, you're coming into yourself. You might have, if you've never done this before, an impulse to want to not go inside. Just go gently. Just say to yourself, ooh, I'm afraid to ask myself, what's my now feeling? Just say that. 1 more time. It's my now feeling. We're going to take a deep breath as we come up. You're going to be very gentle as you open your eyes. Yes. You're going to notice that our personalities come back. Remember that when we go inside, so what did we just do? We activated the observer. We went inside. We validated some feelings, even if it was scary. Very gentle. If your dynamic meditation is practical and portable, you could be at a happy hour and you could just do this. What's my now feeling? Inside you. No one needs to know. What's my now feeling? If your ex walks into the room, it's my now feeling. And what it's doing is it's bringing you just like the practice of coming inside. That was a very gentle one, very gentle. It's active, it's portable, it's practical. How did you experience it, please?
Thank you. That was really beautiful. Yes. first you started by saying that we're like out of our bodies and like so forward, and I felt like this is me most of the time. I'm like, out of my body, like and I had such a chaotic day, and the moment that I went back and I start breathing into my body and focusing on the hips, yes, it's so grounding, it centers you, and it just brings a sense of presence in your being. And sometimes that's all we need, to be a bit more present with whatever we are experiencing and just being
Beautiful.
aware, gentle, and
For
kind.
empath, I do this particularly for empaths and highly sensitives. Lean back. You're in a staff meeting because and it actually allows us when we talk about embodiment, when we talk about grounding, this is the first thing to do. Touch and notice how you can do it anywhere. Anywhere. You're having coffee with a friend. Like, go.
Yes, nobody
Lean
nobody
back
needs
on a phone call. Exactly. On a date. And we want to make the bottom part of our body heavy. A lot of empaths I work with are like, I didn't even know I had a bottom part, right? Because we're always up here leaving ourselves. Anyway,
Yes.
thank you
Thank
so
you so
much. And
much.
I'm happy to keep dropping these there's a whole bunch of easy, very easy ways. Don't be afraid. Don't be
Yes.
afraid.
Thank you so much, Claudia. We will bring more into these lovely tools in our episodes. So, this brings us to the end of our episode today, and we will continue next time with another chapter. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Please follow, share, comment, engage, subscribe. We want this to be a conversation. We also have a channel. I have my own channel, but we have a channel together. Grace, the name of our channel on YouTube to be found.
It's the name of the book, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. They can find us there. Leave comments if you want to ask us questions as well. We want to hear
We're
from
going to
you.
do monthly podcasts on this. So please engage, subscribe. Remember, this is for us for sure, for you for sure. But it's actually for us to start bringing more consciousness just to planet Earth about these types of dynamics. So you're not
Yeah.
just doing it for our little tribe here, we're doing it in the
For the
effort of
collective.
higher consciousness.
Yes. Yes. Let's go to the new earth. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Grace,
Thank
I'll
you,
see you next
Claudia.
time.
Yes. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.